Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and the first day of the Christmas Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing 20 Christmas-themed Cricut projects in 20 days. Half of the projects are designed by me and half are guest designer projects from some of my crafting friends. We're kicking things off with one of my projects, and it's this amazing advent calendar. Fill it with sweets or chocolates and then seal it all up, ready for each of the little doors to be opened each day in December as you count down to Christmas. This is such a fun way to make a fully custom advent calendar that's even better than the ones you can buy in the shops. Let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. First, register a free ticket for the Christmas Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas23. Click any of the buttons on the page and enter your name and email to register. If you're already registered, check for an email from me with subject line Christmas Craft Countdown ticket information, or any of the other emails from me that you have been sent throughout the countdown. Can't find them? Check your junk or spam box to see if they've gone there by mistake. These emails contain the link to view the countdown projects and download today's files. Scroll down the page to find today's project. Click the button to start the files automatically downloading to your computer or mobile device. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas23 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Christmas Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. All downloads come in zip folders. You need to unzip them before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, and then get into Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the files on your computer, or drag and drop them in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the download folder, and then the file to select is the one which starts SVG in the file name. Click and drag that in. And this is what it looks like. Don't worry that it's a bit scary looking at the moment. I'll talk you all through it shortly. Press Upload. And then when it appears in your recent uploads, click it to get the green border, and then press Add to Canvas. This is going to load in really, really big, but don't worry, it's just because all the bits are separate on the page. If you click this very first bit in the Layers panel, it says 1 inch, it's a little red square, and this should load in at exactly 1 by 1 inch, which this one has. You can see at the top here, it's 1 by 1. If yours hadn't loaded in at that size, that means that your advent calendar hasn't quite loaded in at the right size, so you'll need to fix it. There are two ways to fix it. One is to click the top of the group name to select everything, and then make sure your padlock icon is closed and change it to 40.872 inches wide and 29.704 inches tall. Or, if you prefer to do it manually, if this wasn't showing as 1 by 1 inch, what you can do is go into Shapes and choose a square, manually set it to 1 by 1 inch, and then place it on top of whatever your one was, and then click and drag the advent calendar underneath until that square matches what you know is 1 by 1. But mine loaded in fine, so I'm going to delete that and also click on that 1 inch square layer. Just click that one and press delete on the keyboard or the little trash can to get rid of it. Okay, we'll zoom out so we can have a look at what we've got, because it does look a little bit complicated at first. All right, so all of these bits here, this is what's going to create the grid inside the advent calendar to make all of the little holes for the sweets or treats or chocolate to go in. And these are important because it means that it's going to keep the candy contained within each individual door of the advent calendar, so it's not going to fall out, and also it's going to make a nice deep space under each of the numbers for you to put your treat in. I cut this from plain white card when I cut mine because that's what I have the most of. It's my cheapest card. It's, you know, I don't mind using lots of that for something that isn't actually going to be seen. The only way you see it is when you open the doors, you can just see a little bit around the edge. So it really doesn't matter what colour you cut all of these grey bits from. One thing we do need to do though is to add the score lines to them. At the moment, you can see they've got lots of either vertical or horizontal lines on them. That's because, unfortunately, Cricut don't have a way for you to be able to upload score lines already formatted, so we need to do it manually. Click on the image and then press the Ungroup button at the top of the Layers panel. That will separate things out, so now we can work on them a bit easier. I'm going to click this top grey. And if you look in the Layers panel, there's the grey I've just selected. If I click the eye, you can see that disappears. And then on top of that is another layer. And when I click it, it looks green over here in the colour box. That means that this needs to be a score layer. So I can click into Operation, change it to Score. And then when I click away, the lines have changed to be dashed instead of straight. There's one more step to do, which is to click and drag a box that just touches those two areas. So I've got the top of my score lines and the grey bit underneath. That's selected both the layers in the Layers panel. Now at the bottom, press Attach. Attach is what tells the Cricut that we want it to score on top of the grey. If you didn't attach the layers, then it would try doing the score lines on a completely different piece of paper, which we definitely don't want. So you need to do this for all of these grey bits. I'll do a couple more on camera to show you, and then I'll just pause my video and get all the rest of them done. So I've clicked on this one. In my Layers panel, this one has already selected the lines. I know that because it's green up here. So I can change this to a score and then drag a box around both of those and attach them. I'll do one more. I'll do one of the vertical ones. So let's click this one. I've got the lines selected, which I know because it's green. Change it to Score. And then drag a box so it's just touching those ones. And make sure it is just those two. If I'd have accidentally done something like that, you see it's selected 4 layers and I only want 2. I only want those 2. And then press Attach. So I need to do this for all of those grey pieces. So what I'm going to do is pause this video, go ahead and do all of that, and then I'll come back and show you how to do something similar for the front and back of the Advent calendar. So don't go anywhere because there are still some important steps that need doing. All right, so all of those score lines are now done and attached, so we can move on to the front and back of the Advent calendar. I've made these different colours in case you want to make the front and back different. If you do want to make them the same, then you can click on either the red or the yellow layers and change the colour in here. But I did do mine differently, so I'm going to keep them as different. The main reason I did them as different was to make it easier to put together because it's easier to see which ones are the front and which ones are the back. And also just because I liked having the different contrast of patterns on the front and back of the calendar. Now you'll notice that this yellow piece here has lots of lines on it too. So we need to do some formatting here. This one is a bit different because we don't just need the score lines, we also need some draw lines. And we're going to draw this grid on both of the pieces with our pens. And that's going to mean that we'll know exactly where to stick all of these little grey boxes when we've made them. I've scrolled all the way down the bottom of the Layers panel to see this yellow piece here. And I'm actually going to go up to the next one and just hide that and the 2 above it for now so that you can see a little bit easier what we're doing on this piece. So I got my yellow layer. Then on top of that is one which looks like 3 lines, like 3 parts of a square. This is a green layer. You can see up here it goes green, which means it's going to be score. And then the layer on top of that, which is the grid, this one shows blue, and we've used blue to show a pen line. So on this one, I'm going to change it to pen, and then I'm just going to do it in black. That's absolutely fine. You're not going to see these pen lines when it's finished because it will be covered up with all of the grid lines inside the advent calendar. If you want to make it a bit more obvious on the screen what you've done, you can change the colour on there, and that just makes it a little easier to see. Drag a box around those 3 layers, make sure they're all selected, and then press attach. I'm going to hide that just for now, go all the way down the bottom again, and turn on the other half of the bottom. And now we can format this one. This is exactly the same. We've got the yellow. Then there's one which looks like 3 sides of a square. It's green. This one is a score line. And then the grid line on top, which looks blue, we need to change to a pen tool. And I'll keep that as that same. Can't remember if I choose wine or raspberry. I'll check in a minute. So what have I done that one to? Wine. Okay. Drag a box around those 3 and attach. And I'm going to turn that one back on and just check. Oh no, that was different. Look. Wine. I just want that to be the same. Okay, so this is going to cut as 2 separate pieces from 2 bits of cardstock because it was too big to do from one sheet of 12 by 12. And when we stick it together, we'll overlap it like this to make the final calendar. All right, so well done if you're still with me. We've got one more bit left to format, which is the front of the advent calendar. And this one is here. And then we'll add some decorations to the top. We're starting off with a bit of a complex project for this craft countdown, but it's so worth it to make it. Okay, so let's click on the red. It's right down the bottom of the layers panel, and this one works very similarly to the last. Just hide those top 2. And now we've got these. So I've got my red. I've got a layer above it, which looks green. Remember, green means score. So change that to score. And then one on top, which is just one solid line. This is so that we know exactly where we'll stick the other half to. This is going to be a pen line. You see it's blue here. Blue means pen. Let's go pen. And I'll make it that same wine colour. And then click on one. Because there's lots of numbers and things on top, I'm actually going to select these in the layers panel rather than clicking a box around them. So press shift on your keyboard and select all 3. And then press attach. When you attach things, it moves it to the top of the layers panel, which is why you can now no longer see the numbers. So we'll go arrange, center back to put it back at the back. Back at the back. All right, just a little bit left, which is now the bottom part and the line on top. So the line on top is green. It's gonna be score. And then that's just those 2 layers to attach together, and once again we'll go arrange, send to back. And that's it for all the formatting. We're done with that now. The only thing left to do, if you want to, is to add some details in Cricut Design Space to the top of the advent calendar. And I added my name when I did this, and some little pictures, but you can put whatever you want, or if you'd prefer, you don't even have to do it in Design Space. You could just make something, craft it yourself once it's all cut out. First, I'm going to change my colour scheme here to match the papers, which I've already chosen. I'm using a dark blue snowflake pattern for the little square, and then I'll cut the other one from a gold colour. So let's just add those in there. And then for my numbers, I can click Colour Sync up here. And I'm also going to cut my dark bits from gold. So I'll just move that over so I know it's the same one. Okay, let's add some decorations. I'm going to click text. And obviously I'm making an advent calendar for myself. So I'll choose my name. And then under fonts, there's one in here I really like, which is called DJ Flirt. It's a really pretty font. So let's select that one. Make this a bit bigger. And we'll go for white text, but I want to add a border of gold around it. To do that, click Offset, and then you can see a little bit the preview of how big that's going to be. That's probably about right, so I can click Apply. Change it to my gold. I've got too many similar colours now, I'm getting a bit confused, I'll have to sort that out. Let's do that. If I make that my dark blue, because I'll be using my same paper for that one. And now, hopefully, I've just got that one. Yeah, now everything's the same. Perfect. Okay, I don't like these little gaps in the offset layer, so I can click it and then go into Contour, press Hide All Contours, and that will fill in those little gaps. So this is looking nice. It needs to move down just a little bit. But the left and the right are looking a little bit empty. So let's add some little snowmen, I think. Go into Images, search snowman. And these are going to be quite small. So I want a nice, simple snowman. You can change it by operation type, cut only, and then layers single to help narrow it down a bit. That's quite a simple little snowman. Might just go for that one. Oh no, I like this one. He's got a bit thicker arms, they'll be easier to cut. Add to canvas. It's a big snowman. We need to make him significantly smaller. There we go. I'll change him to white and then also give him an offset, and it's going to be smaller. Make that offset gold. Be a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to right click, copy, right click, paste. Make a little copy of my snowman and then flip him under flip horizontal so it's facing the other way. And that's it for my top decoration. I'm keeping it simple, but of course you can put whatever you want in there. Alright, so this is now ready for me to cut, and I highly recommend saving your project now because we've done a lot of work to it. So to do that, just click Save and then give it a name of whatever you want. Let's call it Sarah. Oh, I cannot spell. Sarah Advent Calendar, and then save. Alright, time to see what it looks like when we click Make It. This will separate out all the different colours. You can change the paper size in here, but for some of them, you won't be able to change the paper size because it's too big. So this project really does need 12 by 12 inch cardstock. You can see here it only just fits. So you will need 12 by 12 for the front two pieces, and also, where is it? The back two pieces of the calendar. And I like using patterned paper because I think it just gives that extra little bit of Christmas cheer to the calendar. But if you don't have any of that, then a plain colour of cardstock will work just fine too. So go ahead, get everything cut out with your Cricut, and then we'll see how to stick together our beautiful advent calendar. After you've cut everything out, you'll end up with lots and lots of these white bits of card. And there are actually 5 different types, but they all go together in exactly the same way. So some of these will have more than others, but your basic 5 types are, you've got thin ones with a little circle cut out at the top. You've got wider ones, also with a circle cut out at the top. So you can see if I put one of them on top of the other, one's bigger than the other. You've got a thin one with a square, and then a thicker one with a square. and then one without any cutout on them. So it doesn't really matter which order you do this in, they all go together exactly the same. And we're going to end up with lots of little box shapes like this. I've already done most of them. I just kept one of each of the shapes so that you could see them. So here are the ones I've already stuck together. And it looks like a lot, and it kind of is a lot, but they do come together really quickly. So I'll show you how to do it with these. And these stick together better with double-sided tape rather than glue, because it means they'll hold instantly as soon as you press them together. Whereas with glue, you might need to hold them or clip them or clamp them in place to get the glue to stick. All right, so what we're going to do is we've got all these score lines. Not sure you can see a little bit. So I'm going to turn it upside down and then fold along the first score line, whichever one it is, and then use a brayer tool or a scraper tool or a bone tool, bone folder, or even a rolling pin from your kitchen to go down that fold line, make it nice and crisp. And open it up. Find the next one and gently bend that upwards towards you too. So we're making valley folds every time. We're making a V shape in that fold. So fold it in towards you. Go down with a brayer tool. And then move on to the next one. Fold that one in. There we go. Go down with a brayer tool. And then for the last one, folding that one up too, and press it nice and tight. Now with all of these, one of the edges has a slight angle on the edge. It's very, very subtle. So this one's perfectly straight and that's got a slight angle. And the angle one is the one we're going to add the tape to. But it doesn't really matter. If you do it the other way around, it's just for aesthetics. But once it's all in the advent calendar, you're not going to see it anyway. So if you get it the wrong way around, honestly, it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to fold in that tab that's got the slanted edges and add my tape all along it. I'm doing 2 rows because this is quite thick. It's thicker than my tape. I do it in pieces just so it's easier for me to control the tape runner. There we go. And then I've gone over the edge a bit with my tape, so just neaten that up. There we go. And then what we're going to do is fold this one over so that the final tab on the other side sticks on top of this one. And it means it will fold directly in this middle crease line. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. This middle piece will fold upwards so that we can stick this on top. I explained that really badly. Basically, you're folding it flat in the middle and sticking that on. So now we've got it. It's the same on both sides. But now that it's stuck, we're going to flatten it out so that you end up with something that stands. It's nice and straight and it's got this weird kind of edged shape. And if I show you one that I've put together already, this is how it's going to end up. So it's almost kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. We're building together to make the little spaces to put all of the treats inside the advent calendar. I'll do one more on camera of these ones I've got left just to show you again, and then I will stick the rest off camera. So I'll do one of the thinner ones this time just to show you that it is the same. So turn it upside down and then fold along that first score line and brayer it down. And then I'm going to fold along the next one. Brayer it down. open the middle one and fold and brayer. And there's one more on there. Look for the side that has the slanted edges, which for me is this one. So let's turn that around that way. Fold that bottom tab up. I'm going to add my tape along there. This time, because it's thinner, I'm only going to need one row. There we go. And then I'm going to fold this side over so that the bottom of the front tab on the other side covers that up. So it folds as if you're just folding it in half. And when that's well and truly stuck, turn it up, flatten out the tops, and then make sure it's all straight so it'll stand up by itself. And there's another one. So I'm just going to pause, finish my last 3, and then we will start on assembling the box. Now all of my little pieces are finished, so I'm going to put those to one side and make a start on the box. So if you look at my little demo one again, all of these pieces, they sit inside of the box so that we know where to put them, and we're going to line everything up along the draw lines that we created. And you can also kind of see at looking at this one that we've got our circle and our square pieces all in different lines. That's how we know where to put it together. So select your bottom pieces. These are the pieces that we had the Cricut draw all the squares on. So this is the back of the box. It's not the one that's got all the little windows cut out of it. You'll notice that there are 2 pieces, and on one side of each you've got some little cut tabs along the edge. So one of those is going to be the top, and the other side with the cut tabs will be the bottom. So we've also got one bit bigger than the other. The biggest bit is our top, I believe. That's right, I was just checking. And this bit is the bottom. Oops, I got that the wrong way around. There we go. So you'll know where to stick these together because of the draw lines. It's going to be really hard to show this because I chose such a dark pattern paper. So I've got my cut lines on the bigger piece there at the top, and then for the smaller piece, the bits with the cuts are at the bottom. And then on the bigger piece, there's a line which the Cricut drew that goes all the way along this bottom. And this is the overlap where we're going to stick the top bit here. So I'm going to add my tape all the way along here. Oh, okay. I'm going to add 2 bits because I'm going all the way up to that draw line, but no further. There we go. Then take the second piece and I'm going to line up the edge with that draw line. Try and get it really, really straight so we can match up all the vertical lines as it goes. There we go. And then this will be the back of my advent calendar. So I used a nice double-sided bit of scrapbook paper. And now we're going to assemble the bottom bit of the box. So we need to fold up along the score line on the edges. Fold it upwards towards you. So I've got the bit with all the drawings on the top. And once again, I'm going to brayer this down. get a really crisp fold. And I'll do this on all 4 sides. Okay, so now we've got these little tab bits. These are going to fold inwards. The tabs go on the inside and they'll stick to the corresponding tab so that we end up making a box. So now I do need my tape. Add tape to that tab. Okay, and this side will tuck in there and connect to there. So this one is going to need tape on that side. That didn't work. Okay. So this one, little here, tucks in to there. And then this one tucks inwards. And that makes that side. We've got 2 sides of our box now. There we go. Let's do the other one. There. So now I have the bottom section of my calendar all ready to add in the white bits. And the draw lines is going to help us to line this up. Separate all of the little inner boxes into the different types. You should have 3 thick ones with a circle cut out, 2 thin ones with a circle cut out, 2 thin ones with a square, 3 thick ones with the square, and then 8 that don't have any cutouts. The ones without cutouts are our horizontal pieces, and the ones with the cutouts are vertical. And the thinner ones go down the edge. We're going to position our advent calendar so that the bigger piece that we stuck together is at the top. And then to start with, we're going to put one of the pieces without the cutout just in there. And then we're going to do the squares. So the narrow bits go in the side. It'll slip. You see you've got this bit. Ooh, you can't see what I'm doing. Slip that under. And then the other narrow one with the square will go in that side. And then you've got the other 3 with your squares. They'll slide in there too. And you see it perfectly aligns, and we're also lining it up with those draw lines on the bottom. And it's up to you. You can either stick these in as you go, or you can get it all slotted together and then stick it at the end. I think it's probably going to be easier to stick together as we go. And then the other bits will go in the bottom like this. Okay, so just going to... Shouldn't have moved it. It's all coming apart. That's fine, because I'm going to add my tape. Right. The tape goes down these middle bits in the draw lines, which is where these are going to go. So I'm going to just... Ooh. I did that really badly and have gone over the lines. So just scratch that out of the way. You don't want to go over the draw lines, otherwise you'll see the tape in the little windows when the doors are opened on the advent calendar. So it probably would have been easier to do this before the edges. That's all my tape added. You can see it forms that kind of grid. And again, make sure your biggest bit is at the top. And now we can start sticking these down again. So we'll start as we did before with one of the horizontal bits. So this is one that doesn't have any of the square or circle cutouts. If you want to, you can also stick the edge. That's actually probably quite a good idea. Add some tape down the side. Oh, is it going to work? Squidge it in and then do it. Right. Just some tape down that side so I can stick it to, you can't see, stick it to here as well. So I got a nice straight edge to my box. Okay, first bit in. Now I need to find those square pieces again. I've got the thin ones to start. Nope, that's a circle. Where's my square? Here's my square. So a tiny square cutout, thin bit, shunt it in that gap as far as it'll go so it's touching, and then stick it along the tape. And again, if you want to, you can stick the edge too. And then my other square piece, I've thrown them all over the place. Where is it? Here. It's going to go in on this side. And actually I am going to just do the tape. Ooh. Honestly, this looks a lot more complicated than it is. It's actually pretty simple to stick in, but because there's so many pieces, it can feel a bit daunting. One in there. And then I've got my other 3 square pieces with the square cut out, but these are the thicker bits. And these are going to slide in there. Make sure you line it up against the draw lines so you know it's straight. Perfect. Right. I'll add another one of the pieces without the cutouts to the bottom with some tape on the side that will be touching the edge. And if I turn that, you can see there's all my little holes where my circle bits are going to go in. Again, start with the skinny bits, and they're going to go with the circle upwards. So you've got the little chute which will slide into this bit. And again, put some tape on the end. Right, so this is the thin bit with the circle. It's going to slide under there and then slot in so it will line up against the edge and touch where that square bit ended. It will fit in perfectly. And then the same on the other side. So you might need to wiggle it about a bit. I think I've not quite got mine in straight, which is why it's not fitting. But these 2 bits should perfectly go in. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do the rest of the ones with the circle cutout. If I turn it upside down, it'll be easier to see. Fab. Now we've got those in. All the bits without the square and circle cutouts will just go on top. They'll slide in, honest, and fit in the gaps. Might need to do a little bit of wiggling. but these ones are all the same size, so they'll all just slot in, and you don't need any tape for these ones. They'll just be held in place. There's that one. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of them, and then we'll come back to our advent calendar. Here's my advent calendar with all of the bits in. Now I did find that the edges of the box were coming away, so I did just put some glue in the edges. So I pulled the edge away, added some glue in along the sides of the white bits, and then stuck that in. So it's now really, really nice and secure. The way this goes is that the bits with the square cutouts is the top of the advent calendar, and these 4 bits, don't put anything in there. They're going to get covered up. It was just way easier to assemble the white bits with the holes here than to try and just stop it there, because then this bit of the advent calendar wouldn't have any stability. So these 4, ignore. All the others, it's time to add the treats inside. Now, I have some wrapped mints. It was a new pack, so I think my team may have been snaffling some of them. So I'm actually not going to have enough for the whole thing, but never mind. So I'll add a few in here. And I'm going to have to go and see if I've got anything else to go in the rest of the holes. I found some extra sweets to go in the holes. Now, wrapped sweets probably would be better. It's just a little bit more hygienic, and you'll know that they keep a bit better, especially if you're making this quite a long way before December. But I didn't have enough, so I've got some unwrapped sweets. What I'm going to do to make it better sealed so that those unwrapped sweets, and if you're wondering what they are, they're little mushrooms, so that they keep better, is to add some tin foil to the top. And this kind of makes it a lot more like the real advent calendars, because whenever you get one of them, normally when you open the door, there's that little tin foil bit that you have to break, especially in the Cadbury ones, which are the ones that me and my husband get every year from his parents. They always still send us advent calendars, which is amazing. One other thing you could do is make this maybe as an advent calendar for your dog and put a little dog treat or a cat treat for a cat in each of the windows. My dog would love that. He'll eat anything. Anything, all treats are good treats. So I've got some tin foil, and I have to cut it to size. Get it a big bit. On there. Oh, that was loud. Okay, let's work out what size I need. So the good thing about tinfoil is you can fold it and get a nice crease line. So now I know that's where I need to cut it. Just a tiny bit smaller than that line. Sharpen my scissors as I go. There we go. And then it's a little bit too tall. Right. That should fit. I didn't cut that very straight. But it covers all the holes, so we're good. A little bit more off this side. Right. Okay, now you can either double-sided tape this or you can glue it. I'm going to use some glue. Make sure you obviously don't get glue anywhere near your food. So I'm just going to put a few little dabs down the tops of these bits of card. Make sure all your sweets are nicely contained in their holes. You don't have any wrappers that you're about to stick to anything. I want to break one already. It's so tempting. Right, while that glue dries, we can make the front of the box to go over the top. Here are my two pieces. Once again, there's a bigger bit and a smaller bit. And the bigger bit is the top. And we've got this draw line, you see, that the Cricut did. And that's to show you how far up to stick the next bit. So, there's my tape runner. I'm going to add my tape up to that draw line. There we go. And then stick this bit so that we've got the little cutout tabs at the bottom. The straight edge is going to be glued along that draw line. And by glued, I obviously mean double-sided taped. Okay, here we go. So that's that. You can just about see my little cutout windows are all in there. And now we can make the edges up like we did before. So turn it upside down. And I am rapidly running out of room here. We're going to fold up all of those score lines again. So this is just the same as what we did for the bottom part of the box. And then, just like before, all the little tabs fold inwards and now stick to the next bit to make that box shape. There. Okay. Right, now I have done a wonderful trick of forgetting which one of these is the top. And obviously you do need to know which way around it is because those first 4 holes on the top don't have sweets in. So you can check by turning it over and just looking where your join is. Mine's here. And then the bigger half is your top. So mine's this way up. Also, if you can still see the square cutouts, the square is the top. So there's nothing in these 4 holes. So then your lid goes on so that the bit at the top with no cutouts, no little windows, that is your top. And that will perfectly slide over to fit. And I'm going to glue this rather than tape. I think it will hold better. The lid goes over the base. So I need my glue down all 4 sides. Double, triple, quadruple check it's the right way up with the no windows at the top. And check this is the right way up because I've now spun it round. Right, top and top. And that can slide over. Now gently press that into the glue. And because my glue is quite slow drying, I'm going to need to be here a little while, just going over the edges. Just gently rubbing them, getting that pressed in while the glue dries. So I'm going to pause my video whilst I do that. And when it's all nicely stuck, then we can start decorating the front. Here's my advent calendar. You can see it has progressed a little bit because I've added on most of the numbers. And I've glued my top number to the glittery bit underneath. And then I'm going to stick them on with just a tiny little piece of foam square. And you can either put the numbers in order, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Or you can mix them up. And I like to mix them up just because then it's that extra little challenge every day to find the right one. Now on this paper, because it's so busy with the pattern, it's quite tricky to see where the cutouts are for the doors. So just make sure when you're sticking them on that you are putting them in the middle of the door shapes. If you want to, you could maybe draw a little line, a little pen line around the edges to make them more visible if you want to. all I have left to do is my top section. And I've got my pieces. I've already glued the white bits onto the gold, but also going to glue this onto the glitter. Okay, I'll sit right in the middle. And I like that it's the same pattern paper that is on the inside of the windows because it'll all match up beautifully. And then we'll glue this one on the top, I think. Make sure you don't accidentally put it over those top windows. Straightish. And then I'll use my foam squares to put the rest on. So let's line it up first. Okay, and then I'll also foam my name. And of course you can add any other decorations or embellishments you want to. Just be careful not to go over any of the doors, because if you put glue all over the doors, they are not going to open. And that will be very disappointing after all your hard work. Right. Huzzah! My advent calendar! It's all finished. Just look at that. It's beautiful. And all the treats are nicely hidden inside. And it's all ready for December 1st when I can open up the first door. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make this advent calendar. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and Christmas fun. I hope to see you tomorrow for day 2 of the Christmas Craft Countdown. Don't forget the link to get the cut files for this project is craftwithsarah.com/Christmas23, but they are only free to download for 24 hours after this video goes live. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!